Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insights through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Welcome to the show. Today, I will be chatting with Rahshea Cardiff, where we'll be diving into a journey of leadership, authenticity, and transformation. Rahshea is a trailblazer with over 20 years of leadership experience at Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft, Starbucks, and Best Buy. As a VP of partnerships at Happy Companies, Rahshea champions people-centric leadership, fostering collaboration, and building thriving, empowered teams. From her inspiring story as a single mom to her transformative philosophy of redefining success and embracing authenticity, Rahshea brings a wealth of insight into what it takes to lead with heart and purpose in today's evolving work environments. Welcome, Rahshea.
Thank you so much for having me, Summer. It's a joy to join you this morning.
It is a pleasure. I'm so excited to be here with you. We have so much to talk about, so let's jump right in with the first question. If you could describe your life journey in one word to this point, what would that word be and why?
Oh, that's a powerful question. What comes to mind just right away is enlightenment.
Enlightenment. And tell us more about that. Why enlightenment?
I think as we're growing up, there is a lot of what we observe, what we hear, what we learn of how we think we're supposed to go about this journey in life. You get good grades in school, you go to college, you identify a major and, land a great job and build a great career. And then, it's marriage and a house and kids. And there's kind of this vision that's set for us. We start forging forward on that and have many wonderful experiences along the way. But there is a point in our lives where I think many of us, and it just happens at different seasons and different times for each of us, where we really start to ask ourselves, am I truly happy? Am I truly living a life that is in alignment with what's important to me, with what brings me joy, what brings me peace, what gives me a sense of purpose in this world? And you really start asking yourself some of those more challenging questions. And as you do that, there's kind of this process of unraveling a little bit. And for me, I feel like I really started experiencing a lot of enlightenment when I started that process in that season for me. And then you start to realize, that your life's journey is yours. It's not what anyone else tells you it should be. It's not what the world influences us to think it has to be or what good looks like. But you realize like this is your journey and you really truly are in control of the choices and the decisions you make and how you choose to live your life, the impact you want to have on others and the purpose you want to deliver in the world. And you really start kind of breaking through these ceilings, if you will, of realizing what you're capable of and what you want to do, what you can do, when you start peeling away the layers of, and I want to say this carefully because it's not always that it was intentional, but often throughout our life and our career and our personal journey, we've been influenced along the way. And sometimes those influences have caused us to put boundaries on ourselves, have caused us to think that our ceiling is here when it's not, or our limits are here. And when you start that journey of enlightenment and you start to peel those back, you realize my potential and my capacity and what's possible is so much greater than these kind of imposed boundaries or walls that I had around myself. And you really start embracing this enlightenment of I can really achieve anything I set my mind to. It's not too big of a dream to say, I want to be the president or I want to travel internationally and have impact in other countries. Like, none of those dreams or visions are too big. But oftentimes we've grown up in a way that may have us feel that way. Like, oh, I could never do that. That's just way too big. Like, I'm dreaming way too big, you know?
Yeah.
But when you reach that journey of enlightenment, you just really start coming to kind of a whole different level in your life and really realizing, okay, I can do this and I'm going to do this. And sure, there might be challenges along the way, but I'm fully capable of overcoming those. And I'm fully capable of accomplishing these dreams no matter how big they are. And so I think that process where we start doing that really deep internal reflection and asking those tough questions, and then really peeling back the layers and breaking down any walls that have been placed in front of us or around us, we really kind of elevate into this different area of enlightenment of who we are, what we're capable of, and what we can accomplish in this life.
Well, I love how you put that into such a unique view in relation to conditioning, purpose, reflection points, boundaries, and then moving forward with all of that knowledge. You stated that beautifully because I think we've all experienced that conditioning from where we came from, what we were taught by our parents, by our significant other, by our friends, by our clergy, by our teachers, all of that. And how do you eventually step aside to be able to objectively look at yourself and say, huh, how do I peel back these layers? How do I understand this? And when I start to do this, and what you call the unbecoming to become, and you receive like some pushback or some resistance because people aren't used to this new person that you're developing into. How did you handle those challenges to unbecoming to become?
I think part of that process of enlightenment connects to the authenticity piece of really getting to the root of who you are, what's important to you, what brings you that happiness and peace, and what your future dreams and aspirations are. And within that journey, there's kind of two pivotal things that happened in my life. One was my mother passed in 2017, and my mother had been my whole world. She was my very best friend, in addition to being my mom, and just an incredible woman of faith, hope, and perseverance. And she really set a strong example for me in that way. And when you go through a loss like that in your life, you really start asking yourself the hard questions. For example, if today were my last day on earth, do I feel joy? Do I feel peace? Am I content with how I lived this day or the impact and purpose that I've been making? And if I'm not, what am I going to do about that? How am I going to change that so that I can reach a place of living where I do feel that sense of fulfillment and passion? And yes, I have given it my all. I have made an impact in the world and I've prioritized the people that I love. I've accomplished dreams and goals. And you start to realize, okay, this is going to take some tough decisions. It's going to take, to what you mentioned, some people in your life potentially not quite understanding it. Because again, for each of us, our perception and our opinion tends to be shaped by the experiences we've had thus far in life. And so that's the other thing, is that you have to learn to stand firm in your experiences that are starting to shape you, and know that, no, there's a reason I'm having these feelings and thoughts. There's purpose behind this journey of grief that is going to positively impact the way I live my life moving forward. And I'm not going to permit someone from the outside looking in to negatively influence that, or to say something like, oh, this is just part of the stages of grief, or you're going to get past this and then come back to reality, or anything like that that they may say. Again, with the best of intentions sometimes, but they're imposing those boundaries and those limits on you again. And for me, going through that experience with my mom, I knew in my heart there are things I am meant to learn from this. This is meant to change the way I live moving forward. And the very best way for me to honor her is to do that, is to allow this experience to shape me and change me and positively impact the way I live the rest of my life. So, it was that experience and learning to honor the learnings that I needed to have within it and then apply those. And then the other experience that I had was becoming a single mom. That was a very challenging journey. I lived that path of all of the conditioning and the vision that we talked about, went to school, got good grades, landed a great career, and ended up building over 20 years in corporate America. And at the time that I was going through these challenges, my mom passing, becoming a single mom, I was a market manager overseeing 4 states of business, traveling extensively, and had a very high level of responsibility. And it was so challenging to balance the fact that I had worked so hard to get where I was in my career. And I really did enjoy it. I had a wonderful tenure with this team in this role. But I also was in a space of starting to have to acknowledge my life had changed. I had changed internally and my life circumstances had changed. Much of what I went through in those learnings with my mom and that entire experience also shaped how I wanted to mother. I wanted to be present with my son. I wanted to be able to make incredible memories with him and truly be as active and connected with him as possible. And my career was really impacting that. And so as I started to kind of take a step back and realize I'm out of alignment here, the synergy isn't where I need it to be. And I'm going to have to start making some challenging decisions. And when I tell you that conditioned, career driven, ambitious side of me deeply struggled with possibly making a huge career shift. I was just white knuckle gripping and holding on so tight, and I can make it all work. And one of the things that happens, you've had some conversations on some of your previous podcasts around this, but when we're living out of alignment or we're in a very high level of stress, we start to feel it in our body and in our spirit. It really starts to have a ripple effect in our life. And that was also beginning to happen. And I was aware of that. So, I had a moment, I was sitting at my desk, I was praying, and I was like, what are the next steps? I know I can't stay here. Here is not the right place to be. I know it, I feel it. But I'm a single mom. I have a young man that I have to provide for who's relying on me. And I've got to be able to make sure that I'm in the right space to continue to do that. In that moment, I felt very strongly in my spirit. It was time for me to resign from my corporate career. And when I tell you, nobody around me understood that. I mean, people were very much like, what do you mean? You work for this incredible company. It's somewhere you retire from. It's not somewhere you resign from. They absolutely didn't understand it. They didn't agree with it. And while I appreciated their perspective and thoughts, at the end of the day, we have to stay true to ourselves. While I think that there is value in our friends or our family sharing their wisdom and experiences, I think that we have to be very mindful to listen to that, but then to listen to our own internal compass and our own intuition because we have it for a reason. And for me, I felt very firm in this is the right move forward for me in London. The other thing when I share that becoming a single mom, shaped a lot of this for me. One of the hard things through that journey is that so many folks around me who haven't experienced being a single parent and don't understand the challenges that come with that would share their opinions or, yeah, but you can continue to do this, Rahshea, and just do this, this, and this, and I'll help, or I'll be here when you need this. But then they don't realize if they aren't able to, I don't have a backup. I don't have someone else to phone in. If that person had the best of intentions of saying, I'll be there to help you when you have to travel out of state, but oh my goodness, no, I can't then. You really start to learn that you understand your day to day. You understand what is necessary for success, peace, growth, and enjoyment for you and your child. And you have to be really mindful of taking in guidance that's coming from an inexperienced perspective of being a single parent. And again, our friends and family will have the best of intentions for us, but they don't always really understand all of the nuances that come up that you absolutely have to make sure you're prepared for and able to adjust and move forward the way you need to. And so that was really a big learning process for me, especially because after my mom passed and I didn't have my go to person, I did a lot of that. I did a lot of going to friends and family and, well, what would you do? Or what do you think if you were in this situation? And I invited all of that. And really, it ended up creating quite a bit of noise that it then took me a while to filter through. And it also took some difficult learnings, some decisions I made that just weren't really best suited for my life and my circumstances of being a single mom. And then once I learned all of that and I really found my center, I said, okay, moving forward, I have to understand that I can let my friends and family share their thoughts, but ultimately, I have to do what I know is right and needed for London and I. And there's certain parts of that that they don't quite understand based on their own journey so far. And similar with my career, and what I shared there, where people were like blown away that I made this decision to resign from such a prominent and tenured role. But that decision set me on an incredible path. I went into self employment for about 18 months, learned so much, and experienced great success. I had this amazing season right before my son had to start kindergarten of just he and I making memories, having an incredible time together, and really soaking up that time before he started school. And then that journey ended up leading me to my opportunity that I'm currently in with Happy Companies. And it's really the sum of my corporate career and that entrepreneurship journey I went on, and all of the skills and incredible experience I gained in that together really truly prepared me for the wonderful opportunity that I'm in now. That opportunity that I'm in now supports this amazing life for London and I. I work local. I'm less than 10 minutes to his school. I'm able to go watch his football practices and games and have just this wonderful center grounded balance that he and I needed. And I wouldn't have arrived at this point without making those tough decisions and without learning that while everyone around you is going to have an opinion and everyone's going to have advice, you've really got to learn to filter that and stay true to you and what your intuition is telling you need to do.
Wow. Okay. So we really have went on a journey with you through that evolution of change, some of the milestones or reflection points that had you thinking about your purpose, your own principles, what you valued, coming to terms with really shifting that career move because of the changes that were happening in your life and what you really wanted and how that felt and how you were gripping that so tightly because of all that conditioning and all those influences and all the chatter and the noise. I feel that. I feel that as a woman. I feel that as somebody who is a military spouse who got married and did not envision their life moving every 3 years for somebody else's career. I envisioned my life differently and I held on. And to be part of a microculture that I was unfamiliar with, I was pushing back. So when you talk about your story, there's so much that I can relate to. And I'm sure that we have listeners out there who say, oh my God, who are saying, absolutely, I can relate to this too. And also, where you pointed out You were open to to so much input from family and friends, which also then caused some noise.
Yeah.
And what we talk about on one of my other shows, The Emotional Entrepreneur, is a lot of times, as even an entrepreneur, single mom, you want to go to the people who have that experience, who are going through it, who have worked through it, because sometimes other folks just don't know all the variables that are part of that experience. So you
Yes.
talked about that, which I think is so important because we are conditioned to believe A, B, or C. But sometimes we have to move past that conditioning to understand where we're at right now, to be able to listen to that inner voice and that inner compass, which I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, understanding your evolution and your journey, that foundation that your mother helped set for you early on to say,
Yeah.
you can really be anybody you want. I love you unconditionally. We are here to nurture our spirit, our souls, and I'm here for you. I had a mom who did that early on too, and she was a single parent. When I look back, I think to myself, I'm so thankful for her because she allowed me to understand as she set the foundation of you can do and be anybody you want. And to me, just having that, I'm not saying there weren't ups and downs in that relationship because we go through that, but that foundational aspect of the relationship to understand that you're supported by some
Hmm.
other person, by another woman in this world, feels so good that it gives you the confidence to know I can really do anything I want.
Yes, absolutely. And when we have that example, my mom was a single mom, and she raised two kids. And so I did have the experience of kind of watching some of the ways that she overcame certain challenges and ways that she made sacrifices or decisions to help ensure that the three of us would be in a good space and on a good and healthy and joyful path. And I'm grateful that a lot of that experience and journey has really helped me stay out of the victim mindset, which can be easy for us to fall into for any of us. But watching her growing up and everything that she was able to accomplish and provide for us in spite of challenges really set that stage for me that even when I do have really challenging seasons or days or weeks, I think to myself, I can overcome this. I can do this. This is temporary. This too shall pass. And, sometimes I have to think outside of the box on solutions and I have to get creative. There's times where I'm on YouTube and I'm trying to figure out how to fix something or repair something in the house, but there's always options out there. And I think it's so important to keep ourselves in that mindset of, I can overcome this. I will overcome this. And when we're able to do that is when we're really able to keep forging that path forward. And that experience for me, of leaving corporate America and going into entrepreneurship, I mean, I couldn't even properly explain the internal fear. Despite that, I absolutely felt strongly, yes, this is the right thing to do. I mean, I was still having a conversation with myself. Are you sure? I don't know about this.
Right.
And when I did take that leap and I was successful for the entire time that I was in self employment, there's so much power in letting your faith be bigger than your fear. When you take those leaps and you are able to continue to learn, grow, and be successful, and watch that whole journey lead to additional great opportunities and experiences, you almost start finding this way of living your life in like a fearless kind of way. You're like, well, if I could do that, I can definitely do this. And it's really a beautiful journey because you learn so much about letting go, about embracing the unknown, about overcoming those fears and learning and realizing what you're capable of. And then just trusting that the future holds abundance, that the future holds joy, that it holds beauty for you and your family. One of the coaches I had in that season that I was self-employed, she used to talk really often and passionately about keeping yourself in an abundance mindset. Don't let your thought process keep you in that space of not enough or lacking, but tell yourself no matter what challenge you're in or you're facing or you're striving to overcome, keep yourself in that abundance mind space, and not just in terms of finances, which certainly we want that, but also in terms of just abundant happiness, abundant peace, abundant joy and growth, and really let that set the tone for your life.
That is wonderful. We have covered so much here today, and it has been an absolute joy speaking with you. As we come to the close of the interview, my last question is, can you give one tip to inspire others to embark on their own journeys of authenticity and growth?
Yes, I would connect back to that. Let your faith be bigger than your fear. I think one of the challenges that we often face is we like to be comfortable, and we can be in a space where our career's going good, finances are good. Maybe our level of happiness or passion in what we're doing isn't the strongest, but it's good. So we can be content. It's very easy to be content. And usually it takes us getting to a space of being really uncomfortable, whether that be stress or whether that be we can't have that proper work life balance with our family. But we typically end up getting pushed into this space where we start thinking, okay, I think that I need change, but I'm afraid. I'm scared. What if, what if, what if? What if I leave this job and take another job and it doesn't go as well? Or I don't make as much money, or I'm not as happy, or what if we make this move across the country? And we can go down this tunnel of the what ifs and the fear. But I think when you allow your faith to be greater than that, when you say, I am going to jump off this branch and I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to trust the world. For me, I love Jesus. I'm going to trust God in this journey, but I'm going to take this leap of faith and I am going to trust that it is going to lead to incredible things. And that is really where I believe we start unlocking the magic in our life. So let your faith be bigger than your fear.
Thank you, Rahshea, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Summer. It's been awesome.
Thank you. You can follow Rahshea Cardiff on LinkedIn.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.